All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Health Detective Podcast by Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. My name is Evan Transu, aka Detective Ev, and I will be your co-host for today's show. We're doing episode number 16 of Lunch and Learn with none other than Lucy McKellar, Executive Director of the Association of FDN Professionals. That is always a mouthful. Hello, Lucy. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Because we had the holiday yesterday. I'm like, it feels like a Monday, but it's a Tuesday, which is going to work out great for the rest of the week. So
Yeah.
pretty
Awesome.
good.
So, guys, we're going to be diving right in today. We're going to be helping you with something that we promised last week. So, last week we talked about setting up your packages. We said we're going to go a bit more in depth this week, and we're going to talk about the infamous low package, the lowest tier package. And why I say it's infamous is because at FDN, this has always been a little bit controversial of, do we offer a package that does not include all the labs? What do you charge for it? What do you actually offer? So I want to put a disclaimer on this right away. I do not for 1 second pretend that I know better than Reed, who founded this and worked with over 11,000 people before he taught this as a course. I also think this is fair to say, and he listens to these sometimes, so I want him to know that this is actually how I think about it. I think he understands that. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. He's an exceptional salesperson. He is just like built that way. So that's how he was able to build this program and this course. And my point in saying that is there is a time and place where I think there's a perfect overlap of, okay, maybe we need to start with something a bit smaller, but we're also still serving the client at the highest level. That's really what Reed's always worried about, and rightfully so. When we start only working with one lab or a low ticket offer, are we actually serving the person at the highest level? And so we're going to break this down today and talk to you about when and how to use the lowest tier package. If you guys want to know more about business, though, I want to shout out an event that's coming up on September 11th. So Jen Maleka was just on last week. And what we're doing actually is a training with her where she's going to break down the steps of finding clients. So you guys can register for that. That is a paid event, to be clear. And if you've ever done anything with Jen before, you know it's worth every penny. I think it's only $11. So it's fdntraining.com/find clients. That's fdntraining.com/find clients. So you're going to be doing an even more in-depth version of some of the stuff we've talked about in the last several episodes of Lunch and Learn, fully breaking down the niche, setting up packages, a bunch of great stuff in that training. And again, if you've ever done anything with Jen, you know it's 100% worth it. So fdntraining.com/find clients. Thank you very much. And I will get my screen shared and we will break some of this down today because we are going to be doing some diagrams and stuff. So they're not going to be fancy diagrams, but they're going to be diagrams nonetheless. So here we go. Lucy, is that coming up just fine? Oh, that looks good, actually. I like the way that's set up. For those on
We'll
audio,
describe it for our podcast listeners.
thank you. Yeah, for those on audio, quite frankly, I'd recommend trying to get on this if you can. I have it in the show notes. You can see the YouTube link right at the top, and you should be able to get on to watch the video version. As always, we will try to talk in such a way that you do not need to be on video to be able to get the most out of this. So, all right, let's review what we talked about last time, I guess, Lucy. We talked about how to structure the packages all overall and the pricing that should be involved in it. So do we want to give like any bullet points from last time just to summarize the main things that we talked about?
Well, we went over like the considerations that you need to have to create packages, because we kind of touched on a lot of people they price themselves too low. Basically, they don't take into consideration all the extra time that goes into having a client. They think, I mean, even if you're not an FDN, like you're still going to be pricing per session perhaps. But there's a lot of work that goes into those sessions, even outside of FDN. Without the labs, with the labs, it's even more, as we talked about. But you've still got things like prep to consider for your sessions, and then as well, if you're offering, which I believe we should as health coaches, support in between sessions, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's email, voice support, text support, whatever that is. You need to take that into consideration as well. So we kind of went into those, and then how you can work out what you would be comfortable with as kind of a starting point, and how you can increase your packages if you already have them kind of set up so that you're not feeling burnt out, basically, and feel like you're working for very little.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys have questions as we go along, by the way, drop them in the chat. We're definitely happy to interact and help with this one. So All right, let's get to it. How we need to decide how we're doing any package, really, and we did discuss this last time, is how much do you need to make each year? And it sounds like, well, wait, that's not how I should start the business. I should start on like how much it's worth, right? It's like we can work with that later. We need to figure out first, how much do you need to make in order for you to deliver your best self and service to each client. That's what's most important. Because if you're coming in with your best self and best service to each client, then you're already doing great stuff. That we're going to be fine, right? But you can't pour from a cup that is empty. That doesn't work very well. So we need to figure out how to fill your cup. And if you are only charging so much that you get yourself stuck, this is a really bad place to be. And you don't want to be there long if you are there. You don't want to be in a place where you're making like 60K a year, 70K a year in your FDN business, but your full-time job pays 80K. So it's like, oh, well, wait, no, that's great. I'm making 140K a year. Yes, but you're still stuck with both. That's the issue, right? So you want to make sure that you don't get yourself stuck with both. And the only way to do that, or not do that rather, is to charge the amount that you need. So I'm going to hopefully set you guys some high aspirations here. And I'm going to say, I almost said 199K. We'll start with 100K. It's more realistic for people to picture that. And for some, that'd be a life-changing number. And I hope that it is. So 100K a year is probably a good goal. And we broke down last time the difference in benefits of charging packages or charging for packages versus sessions. So I know we did the math on this last time, but I'll still do this again. We promised a more clear diagram for this last time. So if I'm doing 100K a year, or needed to be doing 100K a year, let's say I have a $3,300 mid-tier package. So I take my 100K, I divide that by 3,300, and that means I need to sell 30 packages, 30 a year. Hold on, 30 packages a year to get to my number there. Okay, so that sounds like a lot, but then if we break that down by the month, so divided by 12 months in a year, right? Think about it this way. I only need to sell 2.5 packages on average. I can't sell half a package, but 2.5 packages on average every month. That means I don't even need to be selling one a week. I could literally go a whole week being dry and get one the next week. And that will get me to my goal. Kind of interesting when you break it down that way, right? Versus what do most people do, Lucy, with sessions? What do they like to charge for sessions, do you think?
I mean, we've heard kind of all different things, but a lot of people seem to be hitting, especially when they're new, around kind of like the $50 mark, probably.
I think it's generous. Let's even say that though. $50 per session. How many would that equal per year? Let's break this down. So I'm not an expert in math, but I think we could probably do this without the calculator. Let's just say that 100,000 divided by 50, that's 2,000. 2,000 sessions in a year, right? And you might say, well, isn't it much easier? And again, this is quick review from last time. Isn't it much easier to sell a $50 session than it is a $3,300 package? In a sense, I would say, yeah, of course. If I went and talked to 100 random people, more people are just going to have $50 than $3,300. But this doesn't work at scale when you're not some influencer, celebrity, big person with 1 million followers on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it might be, because you're going to tap out the network very fast. And you're not going to get the most out of that network because you're not going to give someone the same transformation, charging them for one session for $50 versus allowing them to engage in a package where they can have a life transformation, which is going to lead to high rates of referrals. So yes, one by one, it is much easier to sell a $50 session than it is a $3,300 package. Over the course of a year, it is, I promise you, significantly harder to sell 2,000 individual sessions for $50 than it is 30 packages. And so that's why you want to always be shooting for the mid-tier package or the high-tier package. As FDNs, we use lab testing. I'm assuming most of the people that are watching this utilize lab testing, although we had someone on last time. I apologize. I forget her. Do you remember her name?
I can't know, but yeah,
okay.
she was an FDN, but she was going through the training.
Sure, but she was a health coach that was not utilizing lab testing, I'm imagining. And so that's fine. That's fair. But if you are utilizing lab testing, then we want to make sure that we're using a system of labs, right? And that's what we're taught in FDN. We teach you a system of labs to give these people the best results. So anytime that you stray away from that, you're kind of taking some risk. But I get why people do this, because they want to know, all right, is there an in-between between a $50 session and $100K, or sorry, I'm sorry, and a $3,300 package. So that's the first part here. That's a little bit of the review. And there is an in-between, but how people handle this is going to be a little different. And you want to only do it in very specific circumstances. So Lucy, to be clear, and I don't know this, did you offer a lower tier package to your clients?
Kind of. I did to start with. It was the only thing I offered when I wasn't very confident when I was starting out. It's not advised in FDN, and it's not actually doing FDN, and I could not agree more. But I felt, again, I mean, it's kind of what you were just saying, like I was looking 3,300 or even like 2,000 at that point felt too big and a scary number, and I didn't feel confident asking for it. So I started with a lower, just like a lab and a result session, and it did not go well. That is not the right way to do this at all. I think there is a right way to do this, and that is is not it. Ev has a great example of how to do it correctly. I'm going to let him lead into that. But the reason I want to highlight that is because I think there is a risk with this of doing your clients and yourself a disservice. And you have to be very careful about how you package this. So let's do you want to dive into it? And I'll probably be able to clarify a little bit more about what I mean with the difference of how I did it and how you did it as we go along.
Okay, yeah, sure. So what Lucy's referring to when she said it didn't work and they didn't get the clients the results, this is the first version that I did. And this is why, guys, I know it seems almost dumb. You might be like watching this, like, is this really this big of a deal? Like, why is Reed always never promoting this? It's because you really risk not serving the client at the highest level, because we have a tendency to be scared of selling higher numbers. So we want to say the lowest amount, and then we offer it to people who need it a lot more than that. That's an issue, because now from Reed's perspective, right, there's thousands of practitioners running around. And if they're all selling things that are not actually FDN and they don't get results, the practitioners are upset because they're not making money doing this. The clients are upset because they're not getting results. And it's not just one person, right? There's, again, thousands of practitioners under Reed. So if thousands of people are doing this with thousands of clients, it's not going to work. So I did the wrong version of this and then the right version. Here's the wrong version. And if you guys are FDNs, can you let us know in the chat? Because there's quite a few of you on. So I'm just curious, who is already an FDN trainee and who's already an FDN graduate? Please let us know in the chat. Just say yes to either. It doesn't matter. So here's what I did. And I'm asking that for context here to make sure this makes sense. So I said, oh, I know better. I must know more than Reed, even though he worked with 11,000 people and I've worked with none. So I'm going to just do gut health. And GI map, pretty good test for gut health, right? So I'm going to do the GI map and plus 3 sessions, I think is what I did. And then the supplements, right? And this is what I charged for this thing. I want to get the exact price, so I'll overestimate just to make sure I'm not saying a wrong number. I am almost positive what I charged for this the first time was $750 with the lab test. And the GI map at the time, it's much cheaper now, but to get it back then with the clinical advisor consult was like $434 just for the test. So you guys do the math there. And then remember, you have some self-employment tax. So what do you think happened when I did this? I did find a lot of insights on the GI map for the clients that I worked with, the very few clients that I worked with this method. But then what would happen is I'm not making anything. And so I still have to wake up every day and figure out, how am I going to go make money to survive and pay bills? But now I have an added stress of figuring out, how do I dedicate the time into this when this is really paying me nothing? And then I don't have all the insights. So this is really what happened. And I feel awful about this. I should actually probably just at this point go back to the one guy and literally offer him services for free. He was beyond nice to me regardless, but this is what happened. So charged him for the GI map and then our sessions. I did what I could with the data that I had from the GI map, but as the FDNs out there know, it's a lot more than just a stool test to do all this stuff. So I end up not getting him any results. I actually think he found some relief for about 3 weeks is what happened. And then the stuff came back. And now we're stuck. We're out of sessions because I spent the first session just going over a long results and recommendations thing, which he barely cared about. He probably didn't understand what the heck I was saying. And then 2, we're doing some follow up for supplements. And then 3 is him telling me that he hasn't felt good. And so now I either need to charge more, which do you think he wants to pay more right now with how he's feeling after all these sessions? And I promised him he's going to feel better. No. And he's not leading me referrals. This is the wrong way to do this. I didn't charge enough to actually be able to give my best with this. And I also am actually running a kind of stupid test to do as a standalone. And you might go, whoa. It's not a stupid test to do as a standalone. This is the GI map. GI map's great. It is great. It's not a test, in my opinion, even though there's a lot of people out there that do this, and I'm going to not make friends with this. I don't think this is one that you do as a standalone, coming from someone who did this, because it sometimes leads to more questions than answers on this. If I see someone on the GI map with its super tank secretory IgA, I'm wondering what are their hormones like? Oops, I don't know. I didn't run a hormone test because I didn't do my due diligence. I'm looking at the GI map thinking, wow, they have a lot of low healthy bacteria. They have a parasite. They have H. pylori. They probably have leaky gut. Oops, I don't know. I didn't run an MBA because I didn't do my due diligence. Right? So I'm failing the client now, not getting them results, not putting in my best effort, and I'm not getting referrals as a result. So that's kind of what I did. I don't know if you wanted to jump in here. Did you relate to that part at all or no?
Oh, completely. And I did do the GI map, but I also first started off with just doing the hormone,
Okay.
the SHP, and one session. And I just want to reiterate that they're obviously great tests, but there is absolutely a reason why we do the foundational labs. Like, they all work together. And I had pretty much the same experience that I was talking about with just doing the hormone lab. It leaves a lot of questions. Sometimes, it does work for a couple of weeks because, you are able to work through some of the things that show up, and they might feel a little bit of that cascade effect. Like, the stress is going to come out. And the other thing I want to highlight is the caliber of clients that you will attract when you have a low cost option like this is extremely different to the caliber that you will attract when you have your $3,000 package.
Mm-hmm.
I attracted the people that they didn't really want to spend money on their health, and they wanted everything for nothing. And I didn't have any boundaries at the time, which is a separate issue, but I was replying because I wanted them to get better, and I didn't want to charge, much money because I didn't know my worth at that time, and I wasn't very confident in what I was doing. I was given everything for nothing, essentially. So I think my sessions were maybe, I think it was like $500. So it was even less after tax, after the lab. Like, it was literally nothing. And I was answering questions daily for these people and, having conversations with them, going back and forth. And they weren't happy. They weren't getting the results they wanted. And in the end, they ended up annoyed at me because I would be like, well, perhaps, we need to run some more labs. There's these markers which are indicating that we should. And they basically just thought I was trying to squeeze them for more money, which is crazy because it was such a low cost investment to start with.
Yeah.
But I have definitely found that with a higher investment, they're more committed. They want to show up. They want to do the work. And that is extremely important for the outcome as well.
It's funny how that works, right? And
Yeah.
listen, I'm just going off the comments, so I'm assuming we only have FDN people here, so I'm going to speak to FDNs.
Right.
We have Simone, new graduate, Janice, trainee, JJ, new grad. Congrats, guys. Karen, just starting out, loving FDN. Awesome, Karen. Glad to have you.
Great.
And I'm so glad that you're looking at stuff like this early on, Karen, because this is, well, you know what I mean? And this is really helpful. Janice, I'm not sure where you're at in the training, but I've definitely seen your name before, so I'm guessing you've been training for a little bit here. This is great. It's good stuff to learn now. So,
Yeah.
okay. So this result here led to, unfortunately, angry, upset client who no longer trusts me. No referrals. Now, lowered self-confidence for me. Not that it's all about us, right, when we do this because it's our own fault, but lowered self-confidence. And this person's not better. Person is not better. How great of an option is that? Not a great option. Okay, so we're not going to do stupid stuff like this. What would make more sense? And to be fair to Lucy, actually, your hormone test thing, when you understand this, they understand this concept. That was actually a lot more intelligent than just doing the GI map. I could make an argument that there's a time and place for that one, but I like the way I've set this particular thing up. And just so you guys know, I did not reinvent the wheel on this. I got this from FDN as well because there was a side program that we used to do where we don't do this. We don't do this if anyone's watching. We used to take clients from the public as like a company. We do not do that anymore. You can go to our directory. Shameless plug for the directory, Lucy. Where can they find that?
I will just grab it.
I think we'll get that in a second for you guys. So if you're interested in FDNs, go to the directory if you want to work with one. Don't reach out to us. So I got this from them though when we were doing it, and we call it our Jumpstart Program. Okay, so this is where you really want to take notes. Again, I see a lot of you on. Make sure that you are following this part because this is what you want to get down. So let's use some common sense. If I'm working with a very sick person and they haven't made a lot of lifestyle changes yet, and they genuinely cannot afford a higher tier package, or maybe, let's be honest, maybe the trust isn't there. Maybe they've been burnt out by 10 other practitioners that they went to. Guys, some people are $50,000 deep into this crap by the time they get to you. Like they've literally spent $50,000. And a lot of the times, this is the saddest part. It's like my parents, they talk about this. It's money they don't have. You know, they're not spending $50,000 from savings. That would already be awful enough. This is on credit cards, dude. This is on loans. This is on medical, bills that you're paying every single month to places. It's scary. So the nerves might be very high. So if they're very sick, they have not made significant progress in the lifestyle stuff, we automatically think that running the fanciest lab that we like would be the smartest thing. That's not what I think, though. I think what makes the most sense is, okay, if I were to do a program with them, what would the beginning phases of the program look like? Well, you would focus on a lot of the lifestyle stuff that we're taught in FDN. That's what you would start with. And you guys have to think about it. If you're already, I know, again, some of you are trainees, that's great. If you're already working with clients, because I see quite a few grads on as well, then you know how this goes. The GI map, they get backlogged, right? They're going to take 3-4 weeks to get back to you anyway. And then you might have to do a clinical advisor consult. So you're going to spend 3 to 4 weeks just to get the results of that. You're going to want to work with your client beforehand. Some of the other tests are much quicker, like a few days. And then you have other tests that do take a few weeks too. So what do you start with, right? What do you actually start with? Well, you can start with lifestyle. And that's our DRESS protocol. That's diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation. Now, are there any lab tests that are particularly good at representing DRESS? Yes. I would say these ones. And this is the that looked funny. And this is where the Jumpstart program comes in here. The Jumpstart program that I do believe almost any FDN can use is the MRT, food sensitivity test. This could be replaced with another food sensitivity test if you're in a separate country, by the way. So if you're watching from Canada, if you're watching from UK, don't worry. You can use actually, I'll do this. Food sensitivity. Just so it's clear, right? Food sensitivity plus MT diet. Why? If all we focus on is the diet stuff in the beginning, and by the way, this is 3 sessions. Here's how the Jumpstart works. So we get the food sensitivity test results back. We get the metabolic typing diet stuff back. This is all stuff you're trained on in FDN. So if you're a trainee, again, Karen, I know you're brand new, so you might not even be close to this stuff yet. When you get this stuff, though, food sensitivity and MT diet, these are all foundational labs, or foundational tests, I should say, in the FDN course. What we can do is start with one of the most fundamental things for this person's health. We see the foods that they're reacting to. We help them with the macronutrient ratios and the food pairing. And while we're doing these sessions, I'm also helping them with the lifestyle side. We did the normal FDN intake forms. So we're seeing, wow, you sleep 5 hours a night and you're staying up till 2 a.m. That's not okay. We see that, you're having trouble with your spouse or partner. You're getting in fights all the time. That's an issue. We noticed that you took 25 courses of antibiotics in your life. Yeah, I forgot to add that in on the call, right? So we're seeing all these things. and we could start to help them with the lifestyle stuff. Now, who are we going to work with these things? So Lucy, me and you have talked about this before, so I know both of us can share this, even though you didn't technically do the Jumpstart yourself.
Right.
Let's say my client called, my potential client, and they've been gluten-free for 10 years, organic for 5. They're doing everything that they know how to do food-wise. Would I sell them this package, or would it be a different type of person?
It would be a different type of person. I don't, for someone that is eating pretty what we would consider well at FDN, this type of program is probably not going to benefit them that much. You'll probably, if you were to sell it to them, you might, again, they might not get very great, like they might not see much of a difference, to be completely honest with you. And then, you might not get a referral. You might not be able to upsell them into the bigger package. They might feel a bit frustrated that they've spent, that chunk of money and don't feel that different. So I would focus on the people that are, maybe they're eating the standard American diet, or obviously that can vary from country to country, but someone that isn't eating very well, they're eating gluten, not eating organic foods. Those are the type of people that will really benefit and likely see the biggest improvements pretty quickly from this type of package, for sure.
Yep. So as you can see, I got my gluten-free, eating organic, not a great fit for this. New to
Right.
dietary changes, yes. Now, why? Because you say, well, just because you're gluten-free and eating organic does not mean you know all your food sensitivities. That's absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
But so much of the main benefits that come from eating well and adjusting our diet, what happens is it's just the quality, right? You take away some of the toxic load, you remove some of the main inflammatory things that are things that inflame anyone, regardless of whether or not they have a true sensitivity to it. You eat American wheat, no one's feeling great off that, right? Even if you don't have a true immune response to it, no one's feeling great off that. So when I see that they're switching, they've already switched that stuff up, I'm very happy for them, and I'm glad that they've already gotten these results, or they've already made those changes. But that means they do have some results, most likely. And that means if I charge them for this and this alone, I don't know that it's going to be a transformation worth writing home about. And if I get really unlucky, and unlucky, I say that quote unquote, right? But if I get really unlucky, they might have unintentionally already removed the foods that are the main culprits to their symptoms. And that's why we needed to do other labs. So worst case scenario, you could get a client with this situation that nothing changes. The needle doesn't move at all. And now they've paid you, for these tests and these sessions, and they don't feel great. And if you're new to the world of FDN, you might be thinking, well, wait a second. So should I charge any of my clients for a food sensitivity test if they've already changed these things? Yes. Because as Reed says, there's one main reason that we do all these foundational labs. He said, because you won't always know which lab had the biggest effect. But what we do know from, again, him working with 11,000 people, guys, that's more people than most practitioners are ever going to work with in multiple lifetimes if they had it, right? 11,000 is a lot. That's insane. So when you see these patterns, what he was saying is, I don't know always what lab's the perfect lab for them, but I do know when we run this series of labs, man, everyone seems to get better. You have to have faith in that. That's what works. And that's why also we don't run a million labs, even if the person had all the money in the world. You don't run every test out there because that's overkill. There's a law of diminishing returns with this. But we do know that there's a sweet spot. So what we're doing here is trying to find that person who has not made the changes, and then we can help them. So what we do, and actually this is a true story. I literally talked to someone this morning. I don't talk to people every day, by the way, for my wife and I's own coaching programs. It's coincidence that we talked to them today. So I talked to this guy. It's actually a referral from an FDN trainee, so I appreciate that. I won't shout out the name out of privacy, but thank you. And I'm talking to this guy, real smart guy, interested in changing, and I made assumptions that I shouldn't have made. I'm thinking because he is, married to someone who's training in FDN that, he's already eating super well, going to bed on time, all this stuff. But she was only 3 months into the program. And so he's like, actually, I have no, that's not what's happening. We just, I don't want to get, I guess, too much into the details just for privacy. Like I said, they were doing something this weekend where they were driving somewhere. And when they're out of town, he had 3 sodas and he noticed that, really got his inflammation worse. He said he's addicted to his phone. He's sleeping 7 hours per night, but it's 7 hours of just crap sleep. So I'm sitting there thinking, Okay. So this person is at a paradigm right now where they think it's appropriate to go out and have 3 sodas in the weekend. This is not a judgment, by the way, and this is not a condemnation of this person. Not in the slightest, right? We all go through this. But that's his paradigm, is that it's okay to be having 3 sodas. I don't know about you guys, it's never okay for me to have 3 sodas. That's not something that I'm ever doing in my life, nor is it okay for me to accept the fact that I'm getting 7 hours of sleep that's crappy for many, many weeks, if not months, if not years. So when I see him, you got actually let me know in the chat. Let's do a little quiz right now. Do you guys think, based on what I just said, so he's having 3 sodas, he has a bunch of inflammation, about to get diagnosed, it seems, with rheumatoid arthritis, based on what his doctor said, and is sleeping 7 hours a night, crappy stuff, all this stuff going on. Do you guys think he would or would not be a qualified candidate for my Jumpstart program? Would I refer him to this? Or would I refer him to something more, assuming, let's say, they don't have the money for a higher package? Would it be yes or no? And there's always a delay on this, Lucy, for the questions. So I
right.
can't believe we're already at time. Are you good for a little longer hanging out?
Yeah, I
Okay,
am.
awesome. Sorry. Caffeine Ev's a menace.
No. I'm intrigued with his sleep, and you're saying it's like not great. I'm assuming he's not tracking it. Is he just waking up and not feeling good?
Correct, not tracking.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, intuition and how we feel should definitely be like the number one thing that we listen to. We should all be listening to our bodies for sure. But tracking helps sometimes. I was just curious.
There's over 20 people on right now. No one's going to give me an answer. Yes, Karen, here we go. Yes, only because we can at least start the proper care. Bingo. Karen is winner of everything today. You're doing great. The answer is absolutely yes, because this person is in a paradigm where they think that's okay. It is not okay to be drinking soda when you're about to get a rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis. Again, this is never, don't confuse my passion with a judgment or condemnation. That's not what it is at all. We all go through different cycles of understanding with health, right? There's things that Dimitri, I got to get your name down because I see you all the time. So thanks for coming on this stuff. Said yes, definitely. And you are correct as well. Okay, this just shows how delayed this stuff is. Guys, we're seeing this stuff like 3 minutes after we asked the question. So Janice said, good for Jumpstart. Yes, all you guys are getting this. Perfect. So that's the thing. I know I can help this person with the dietary stuff. So we can start here. Now, there's only 2 things that could possibly happen, right? And that's what we want, is these 2 things. One, gosh forbid, all the things that they ever needed to do were dietary related. This person's going to love me, and perhaps they could get 100% better. Rarer that would happen, but I actually have seen that with the Jumpstart. So that's great. The only second option, if I qualify this person correctly, it's never going to be that they didn't benefit at all. Never, if it's the right person. They might only get 50, 60% better. But if I specify that from the beginning on the call and say, listen, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, I know the funds aren't great right now. I understand that you're $50,000 frickin' dollars in the hole with this because the Western medicine system did not serve you. I am so sorry that you went through that, and that's not correct. I need you to invest something right now, though. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the smaller package. And I promise you this, only 2 things can happen. Either one, somehow you do get fully better. That's amazing. 2, this is the more realistic one. I actually say this on the calls, by the way. You never lie to people, guys. Don't ever think that you need to do that to sell something. That is never how you do business. I tell them the truth. I said, listen, you might only get 50% better from this. But hey, we only spent this amount of money. And now you know with confidence that you do need the additional labs and services that I offer. Does that make sense to you? And they always say yes. So now we start with this. We get them on track with the lifestyle stuff. We get them on track with the dietary stuff. And now they know, because they've experienced the transformation, hey, man, this person knows what they're talking about. They already got me 50% better. Wasn't there like 4 more labs I was supposed to be running? Man, I wonder what they can do with those other 4 labs. So you build that hope, you build that trust, and you did a good thing. How much do you charge for this? That's a question, right? How much to charge? This is what we started out doing. And we moved this up, to be clear, because this is way too little. My wife and I were only charging $997 for this. That's crazy. The MRT is like $355 now, and the metabolic typing diet's like $89. This was not enough for 3 sessions. So then we moved it to $1197. That was a good sweet spot for us. It still sells like hotcakes. Gluten-free, organic, paleo, vegan hotcakes, right? With no ingredients in it. No ingredients whatsoever, just air. 1197 now gives us a little buffer so that we can still offer some support in between sessions and justify that and help people at the highest level. Now, our main package or the mid-tier package. It's the main package I say because it's the main one that we sell. Our top package is actually 4,500. Mid-tier is 3,300. Now, what do I do here? Let's say I get this person 50% better, and now we know that they need new labs. What I do is I take that 3,300 minus 1197. I have $2,103 left, and that's what I charge them for the remainder of the thing. So we're not punishing them. We're not making them pay $500 more to get this. I literally just charge them the difference because as far as I'm concerned, they already did part of my program, right? They just started with what we would start with anyway. And so now they can upgrade into this next one, pay the difference, get the other labs, and we continue to work through the stuff. So the thing is, as you can tell, if you really break down the numbers, even with 1197, it's you have to sell a lot of those to justify a business, right? And you should not be offering this to everyone, but you guys are going to get these people on the phone where it's the perfect situation, and then you can start offering this to them. So, Lucy, what do you think about all this? Is this clear? Is making sense?
It is clear. I did have a question. So the
Sure.
3 sessions you get with the Jumpstart, if you upgrade and you pay the $2,000 difference, do you get like 3 less sessions than someone that bought the 3,300 program, or would you just kind of start over?
So normally in the $3,300 package, we do 7 sessions and then we usually throw in one as a bonus, right? People like bonuses. So you throw in one as a bonus. And so let's say it was 5 different, right? So 3 for Jumpstart, 8 technically for the 3,300. We're giving them 5 more sessions if they pay the difference. So they're getting the full program anyway. They just got to like ease into it a little bit.
Right.
So yeah,
Fantastic.
does that help?
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I don't practice right now. I work for FDN full time. I'm very involved with obviously our grads, and I love the business side, which is why we're doing things like this. So I never got to that, but that is 100% how I would do it now. So I was just curious because that made sense in my brain, but I just wanted to clarify.
Yes. And then if you guys have any last second questions, throw them in. I love how many of you are on, but I'm going to show you the difference between this. This is a real life example of some of the things that have happened with Jumpstart. So remember I drew out before that, like the other guy, it led to no referrals, just doing the GI map stuff. This is what has happened. This has actually occurred off Jumpstarts. So we sold one to someone. Sorry for the crappy drawing, but I'm just trying to lay this out for you guys. So that Jumpstart led to his girlfriend. Sorry. It was technically his fiance coming on, and she bought a Jumpstart as well. Okay, pretty cool. That led to his mom coming on. He signed up his mom for the $3,300 package. That's what she needed. She's very sick. The mom has now referred her friend to us. That was $3,300 package. Mom, friend. That's what happens when you do the right thing and you serve people.
Yeah.
Right. So before, remember, we're charging less on the other thing with the GI map. We charged way less because I thought that's what people wanted to pay. It led to no referrals, lowered self-confidence, and no results for the person. And unfortunately, even if he likes me as an individual, if someone asked him, still to this day, this was 7 years ago, would you go work with Evan Transu as a health coach? He'd probably say no. That sucks, man. That's an awful way to do it. But instead, doing what we're supposed to do, Jumpstart. Let's see how much business that's led to. Jumpstart, this was when it was 997 to be clear. So 997 plus 997 plus 3,300 equals, and then I'll minus 1. So one sale of a Jumpstart led to $7,600 extra in business. And these referrals have happened actively. That friend just came in, I think, like 6 months ago. So the idea that these people are not going to refer someone else to us when someone else in their family or friend group gets sick, probably not the case. They probably are. That's what happens. So when you do a low tier package, it is okay. Don't start screwing around with labs, though, that require other labs for them to make sense. The GI map is great. As an FDN, though, it makes the most sense when you're looking at other things. That's why I was saying, Lucy, I actually believe I wouldn't mess with it, but I would say the hormone test is closer to what we're doing here than the GI map, just because you can give people a real picture of where their overall health is at, right? And if you saw that they were like in the exhaustive phase, I'm sure you were able to help them through lifestyle stuff, correct?
Yeah, like we were able to do a bit, but like I said, it would get to a point where they just wouldn't get any better essentially, and then they would be frustrated that they had to spend more money. Because what I've mostly found happen is people would get better for like a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then it would slide back down, and then they lose the trust essentially. So I mean, it can work. There are health coaches out there, not hopefully not FDNs, but there are health coaches out there that just only do like SHPs and the Dutch and things like that. And that's their whole business model, and it seems to work okay for them. But it's just not. You're going to get a much better result for your client by doing something like this as a one-off, and then offering the full foundational labs for sure.
Yeah.
I
And
wouldn't do it again.
I
Let's put
will
it
give
that way.
I will give my overused quote here to finish this up so this makes sense for everyone. And it's because I like to sound like an intellectual, even if I'm not. It's the Picasso quote that I've been sharing every time, but it is relevant to this. Like when you talked about other FDNs doing this, here is my recommendation really for the lowest package. You got to learn the rules like a master so you can break them like an artist. That's Picasso, baby. And Picasso seemed pretty smart, right? So I must be too then. But
Exactly.
regardless of me being cheesy and funny right now, or trying to be funny at least, when you think about this, this is actually totally true. When I was doing with the GI map and the 3 sessions thing, I wasn't even really learning the rules yet. I barely had graduated. I barely finished up the course. So I understood the concepts, but I hadn't applied them to my real life. So I didn't know the rules. I just had a vague understanding of them. I needed to play the game of learning the rules so that eventually I could break them like an artist. And then it said, oh, well, maybe this Jumpstart thing would make a lot more sense for our business model. And maybe the Jumpstart should not be offered to every single person every single time that they don't
Right.
have funds. Maybe it should be a perfect combination of I don't have enough funds for this higher package and I haven't worked on the diet and lifestyle stuff anywhere in depth. That's understanding it like an artist, right? So just something to think about. And I see a lot of great comments in here. This is great. I'm glad you guys are liking all this stuff. Karen said, what do you charge if they need more sessions? Okay, so Karen, if we end up doing individual sessions with the person, which honestly almost never happens because we deliver on what we try to say, we usually do around, I don't want to say it publicly because it kind of does differ depending on how difficult the client was or not. I shouldn't say this, but on average, I would say it's around 150
Right.
for the extra sessions. But we typically, I'm almost never offering something to someone that I don't know in the back of my head that I can get them better in those sessions if they do what we say. So it is extremely rare that someone buys extra sessions with us.
I agree.
Yep.
The other thing I want to say, guys, so I know obviously some of you are trainees and you're coming through the course. Ev and I talk about this once a week in AFDNP. So definitely as you come through and you graduate, make sure you're joining AFDNP if you enjoyed this conversation, because we love talking about this stuff. And we have a Monday call where this is basically what we talk about and we answer your questions in this kind of format. So definitely make sure you have that on your list once you get through graduation.
I would like to thank everyone for coming on today. And if you guys have follow-up questions, let us know. We're happy to get to it in a further episode. I would also like to apologize to Lucy for holding her captive as again, my colleagues here know I just recently discovered organic caffeine. I'm not someone who uses that, believe it or not, or didn't need it. And I love it. And so we're supposed to do 30 minutes. It's 45 minutes in. And thank you, Lucy. God bless.
No, I love a business chat, Ev. So
Yes. I'm going to do it to you at any time. This is the perfect one because it's always fun.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we hope you have a great day. Let us know if you need help. Please do the low tier packages in an intelligent way.
Exactly.
And remember, if you're not serving the person at the highest level or you don't know that you can, you're not helping anyone by charging too little, right? The only thing you're doing actually is projecting your own limiting beliefs onto them. And I don't want you guys to have to experience the sting that comes with that to learn the lesson. please just learn it here. And if you have questions, again, ask us and we'll help you with the situation. But do not charge someone so little that they get nothing out of it and they still paid money. So
Yeah.
awesome. A lot of